Seriously, having to buy some soap to wash.
A South African corruption lawyer has heard both interviews in full and is now in the process of preparing a file for the country's prosecutor. Speaking to the BBC, Aaron Banks denied that he'd provided funds to the Prime Minister, but he didn't deny his relationship with the Minister, Theseli Masrabani.
Well, he befriended me.
Did he ever ask you for money?
Yes.
Did you pay money?
Yes.
Do you think that's appropriate?
Yes.
Is that not a
We were
classic
doing a
case of
specific
corruption?
job. No, it's not corruption at all.
But at the same time, you were putting money into a personal account for Mr. Masrabani,
Yes.
who was a government
He was
minister.
a minister for women's equality.
This isn't going into a charity account.
Yeah.
It's not even going into his party's account.
Mhm.
You're putting money into a personal account for him,
Yeah.
often in his South African account too.
Well, I
Did
just
that not seem suspicious?
No.
Aaron Banks, one of the biggest political donors in British history, is now under scrutiny for his funding of politicians in a tiny mountain kingdom half a world away.
At least 20 people have been killed and more than 100 are missing after a dam collapsed in southern Laos in Southeast Asia. 6 villages were swamped by a flash flood last night. Heavy rain in recent days is being blamed for the disaster. Our Southeast Asia correspondent Nick Beak is following developments from neighbouring Myanmar.
This was the scramble for survival after a deluge of water was unleashed on villagers living near the dam in Atapu province. Children and the elderly, clutching the few possessions they could salvage, were carried through the floodwater. The huge hydroelectric plant on their doorstep had been under construction for the past 5 years and was due to start operating commercially next year. It was a joint project with South Korean and Thai companies. One of the developers behind the venture said torrential rainfall had caused one of the dams, half a mile long, to fracture over the course of 24 hours and then collapse. The Laos Red Cross is among the aid organisations trying to reach the worst-hit areas as quickly as possible. A spokeswoman, Pauline Kaspurian-Arce, said many roads were damaged and submerged.
So far, we know that for Lao Red Cross, they will be sending or are on their way to send relief kits and household goods for the affected communities. The good thing is that we have a Red Cross branch there, so they would be able to access the area relatively faster than other organizations.
The authorities in southeast Laos have been appealing for donations of water, food, clothes and medicine to give to survivors. But with more than 6,500 people forced from their homes, it's a daunting challenge, and more rain is forecast. The Laos government had keenly embraced hydroelectricity in recent years and hoped an ambitious dam building scheme would enable it to become the battery of Asia, powering its neighbours. But environmental campaigners raised concerns, and now the whole strategy will be scrutinised closely, with so many lives lost in the past 24 hours.
The shale gas company Quadrilla has been given final permission by the government to frack at a site in Lancashire. The firm will be allowed to create the UK's first onshore horizontal drilling well at Preston New Road, provided certain conditions are met. Campaigners say they'll continue to try to stop fracking there, a process which involves pumping liquid at high pressure deep underground to fracture rock and release gas. The Democratic Unionist MP Ian Paisley has been suspended from the House of Commons for 30 days. A parliamentary investigation found he'd been guilty of serious misconduct by not declaring 2 luxury family holidays to Sri Lanka, which were paid for by the country's government. Mr Paisley, who apologised last week, has also been suspended from his party. The North Antrim MP could face a by-election if 10% of his constituents sign a petition. A woman in her 50s who was sexually abused by her stepfather as a child has won a landmark case against a rule which denied her the right to compensation.